Hey everyone, welcome back to the Capex Home Gym Lab. It's your favorite garage girly, Kinsey. Today I'm simply going to be breaking down what are some pieces of equipment or items that are worth upgrading and what are some things that you should avoid. After, building this gym piece by piece and handpicking each individual piece of equipment, I do have some lessons that I've learned the hard way. And so I want to share with you if you're on your journey to make some upgrades in your home gym. Watch this video first. Let's see what's worth making the upgrade and what's just a waste of space and money. All right, let's talk about flooring. Now, I know the home gym space loves a horse stall mat, but I want to go over my experience with horse stall mats and help you make a decision with what flooring you should shoot for. Now, number one, if you have foam tiles, just throw them in the garbage. It's definitely worth the money, definitely worth the upgrade. The foam tiles will move around too much on you, and it actually doesn't offer much protection for your flooring at all. So if you have rubber or if you have foam tiles, definitely worth the upgrade for sure. Now let's talk about your options outside of the foam tiles that might save you money. Now, there are the puzzle piece flooring similar to the foam tiles, and most of them are partly foam, but then on the top have a layer of rubber. So those are actually pretty great. I've had really good experience with those. I've laid those down in a few clients' home gym space, and they are holding up great. Now, that's your first option. There's also horse stall mats, and there's also rubber rolls. Now, I have had horse stall mats in the past, and something you should know about horse stall mats is they are so heavy, they're hard to work with, and they're hard to cut. Now, if you're handy and you don't mind all that, then horse stall mats is going to be the best way to go and the cheapest way to go. Now, horse stall mats usually range between $30 and $60. There is a small hack that I believe still works where you can order them online. If you find a zip code where the horse stall mats are on sale and you go to pick them up at your local Tractor Supply, they should honor that price. So yeah, you can basically get a mat anywhere from 30 to 50, sometimes $60 for your home gym. Now, they do smell very, very strong for a few weeks, so keep that in mind. If you are someone who doesn't mind spending a little extra money on upgrading your floor, I got 1/4 inch rubber flooring, and I will do that over and over again. Now, this is pretty thin, but this does a couple things. It's easy to cut, it's easy to work with, and it is a little bit less money. That being said, if you do go that route, I do suggest making sure you already own rubber hex dumbbells and bumper plates. I wouldn't suggest getting a 1/4 inch flooring if you have iron plates or iron dumbbells and things of that nature. The reason why this thickness works for me is because everything else I have that will be dropping on the floor is rubber. So keep that in mind. Just remember, horizontal mats are going to be your cheapest option, but they also are probably the most difficult to work with. So if you have a little extra cash, I would definitely go with just the rubber rolls. They're easier to lay down, they don't take much time to cut, and they're definitely worth it in my opinion. So, what are some things that are worth spending your money on to organize your equipment, and what are some things that maybe you could DIY or even find for free on Marketplace? First item of business when it comes to organization is if you have a weight tree, it is time to upgrade. A weight tree is just taking up valuable floor space. So you want to do one of two things. You want to be able to mount some weight horns on the side of your squat rack to store weight plates, or even DIY your own storage solution like I did. Now, I have some dead space in between my garage doors, which was a perfect place for me to put some weight plates, especially because my leg press is right next to it. And because my leg press is weight plate loaded, I needed to have the weight plates close. So it was a perfect solution for me. It's super easy to DIY your own. All I use was a 2x4, and everyone has these 2-inch adapters laying around from old machines. If you don't, they're like $12 on Amazon. So if you get a couple of these, and then what you want to do is grab some 3/4 inch steel pipe nipple. This one is a very long one. You only want about 10 inches. And I just put that steel pipe into the weight adapters. I get a flange, and then those flanges you can put anywhere on your wall that you have a stud, and boom, you have really simple, cheap, easy weight plate storage. This was my solution, and it works awesome. And like I said, you can really put it anywhere that you have wall real estate, and that is better than using up your floor real estate. So, an item that is not necessarily worth upgrading, but another DIY hack for you is they sell these hooks at Home Depot. They're about $5 each. Instead of going and spending a bunch of money on storage solutions on sites like Rogue and Rep, this is a simple solution. I hang up my Rep leg roller on this hook, and this hook can also safely hold a barbell. I've hung barbells off of this exact hook. And then I also have my homemade calf block that I have hanging. So anything you can get up off the floor so you're not tripping over it or it's not collecting cobwebs in the corner is just a great way to organize your space and not spend tons of money. Something so underrated in the home gym space is lockers. I always see lockers for free on Marketplace or even for really cheap. And I think it's way better to have a set of lockers than that box you have in the corner that's all dusty, that you have all your bands in, ankle straps, and cable attachments. So, if you're someone who has a little corner of clutter, I think lockers would be awesome for you. I have my extra bands in here. The coolest thing about these lockers is I have all my supplements in here as well. So it's not taking up space in the kitchen. And then also it's out here where I need them to be anyways. This is where I take my pre-workout and my creatine and all those types of things. So it's nice to just already have them out here. Yes, the locker takes up floor space, but not a lot of floor space. And I think it's way worth it to have all your clutter shoved into here than scattered amongst your gym. So this area is one of my favorite areas to talk about because the solutions for organization are just so simple. So I've actually had someone ask in the home gym page how to get their medicine balls up off the ground. And this is a simple, easy solution, similar to my weight plate storage. All I did was take some 3/4 inch pipe nipple and make this storage for my medicine balls. So all it is 2 flanges, a couple elbows, and just a couple pieces of those 3/4 inch nipple pipes. And all I did was make a little outline so the medicine balls can just float here. Again, they're up off the ground, they're not collecting dust, and they're not taking up floor space. Last but certainly not least is this is something that's not DIY. This is something that is worth the upgrade if you have a bunch of nails holding up your cable attachments, thumbtacks, what have you. I've seen a lot. Although those aren't the worst solutions ever and it's cheap, I think wall control is definitely worth spending your money on because it's going to make things a lot easier to grab. That way you don't have, when you go to pull a cable attachment, you don't have nails pulling out of the wall. I know that because before I got wall control, I was just hanging my cable attachments on like nails and screws. So do yourself a favor, spend a little bit of money and get yourself some wall control. It's going to be a lot more space saving on the wall anyways if you go this route. So this is definitely something worth spending money on is the wall control. All right, now that we've gone over organization and storage solutions that are worth upgrading for your home gym, let's talk about equipment in general. Now, I'm not one to say buy once, cry once. That could just be because I have more learning to do. But one piece of equipment I will say buy once, cry once is going to be an adjustable bench. Trust me, I've been through about 3 adjustable benches at this point, and I wish I would have just put my money into a nice bench in the first place. You want a bench that fits your training style and a bench that's going to grow with your ecosystem. I personally bought the Rep Nighthawk because it's easy to move around, which I needed. I have a small space and I'm 5'2" and 145 pounds. I don't want to move around a big, bulky bench. So, again, this fit my ecosystem, this fit my needs. It also has a leg roller adapter so that my clients can do decline sit ups, Russian twists, and a bunch of other movements that are to come with the certain bench attachments that Rep is coming out with in the future. So, you definitely want to do your research and pick a bench that fits your needs. Don't go cheap on a adjustable bench. Behold, the squat rack. This is the number one piece of equipment that I think you should look into upgrading because a squat rack is so versatile and because it takes up so much space and it's going to be the centerpiece of your gym. I think it's way worth the upgrade. Now, what does upgrading look like for you? Now, for me personally, the squat rack I started off with had 2x2 uprights and 14 gauge still. When I had clients do pull ups on it or I did pull ups on it, the thing just swayed everywhere and it was kind of embarrassing. It worked. The only thing that saved it was it had a center lat pull down and a low pulley. So if your squat rack is 2x2 uprights and 14 gauge still and it's working for you, then great. But here are some reasons that you might consider upgrading. Reason number one, I think you should upgrade your squat rack if you're someone who has a squat stand or a squat rack with 2x2 uprights and 14 gauge still, is a lot of 3x3 uprights and 11 gauge still squat racks have these built in functional trainers, which will really expand your workouts and the movements you can do when purchasing a combo unit like this. Reason number two that I think you should upgrade your squat rack is because of the nature of the 3x3 uprights with 11 gauge still. There is such an ecosystem to these squat racks. You have hundreds of rack attachments that you can choose from when you purchase a squat rack like this. For example, I have my lateral raise attachment right here. This opens up 3 different movements that I can do. It doesn't take up any more floor space in my gym, and sky's the limit on different rack attachments that are out there these days. One of my favorite ones is this 4-6 flex arm. I have a YouTube video on it if you want to watch it, but just the movements that I can do with this squat rack attachment is insane. So there's just more of an ecosystem when you buy these 3x3 uprights, 11 gauge still. There's multiple squat racks out there right now on the market. So look into what's going to work best for you and your budget. And I promise you won't regret upgrading your squat rack. Really quickly, I wanted to touch on mounting rack attachments to your wall. If you have the wall space, definitely get yourself a 3x3, not a 2x2 like I have behind me. I don't recommend. Get yourself a 3x3 and mount your rack attachments to the wall. That way, it's not taking up space on the rack and you can simply walk up to it and use it. So, this is a RitFit Hack Squat rack attachment. And it was so annoying to take on and off the rack because it's so big and heavy. So, I mounted it to the wall. A lot of people have the lateral raise attachments as well, and I definitely think that is worth getting off your squat rack and mounted on the wall with a 3x3 upright. All right, we're going to pick on my crunch machine for a second. Reason being is because this is the only machine in my gym that takes up this type of footprint and only serves one purpose. This can only be a crunch machine, right? There's no other muscle groups that it works. So I think if you have a machine like this in your home gym serving one purpose that does one movement, I don't think it's worth taking up the floor space, and I think you should upgrade to something different. The only reason why this stays is because my clients love it and it has a little bit of um, emotion behind it. And so I'm going to keep it for now. But if you are someone who is stuck with a machine that only does one thing in your home gym, get rid of it. Upgrade to something different. All right, another upgrade that I think is 110% worth it is getting a mini split. If you're in the garage and you're heating your garage with a space heater, propane heater, or if you're in the summer and you have just a fan cooling you off, I definitely 110% am telling you, spend the money and get a mini split. Take the time to hire someone or do it yourself and do a mini split because your equipment's going to last a lot longer because you're in a temperature controlled area. So in the long run, hopefully you're saving money on your power bill and saving money on your equipment because it lasts longer because you have a temperature controlled space. All right, I talked about a couple pieces of equipment that you should definitely upgrade and look into upgrading, saving your cash to upgrade, etc. The number one machine I think that you should not upgrade on is this leg extension hamstring curl combo. If you have a unit that looks like this, they are all one and the same. They all share their own problems. They all have terrible strength curves. Unless you're going to get a selectorized leg extension hamstring curl combo, I don't think it's worth the upgrade. I know RitFit has one that has a cam and cables that I haven't tried yet, along with Kingsmith and a couple other brands. And I think we're slowly getting somewhere with them. But unless you're going to get, like I said, a selectorized, uh, weight with a leg extension hamstring curl combo unit with a weight stack, I really don't think it's worth spending your money on. I just don't think this particular machine has come far enough for you to sell this and spend your hard-earned cash on a machine that's basically going to do the same thing. All right, my one last piece of advice is don't overcrowd your home gym. If you have the luxury of having a decent amount of floor space, like a 2-car garage or even a basement, I think it's very important to hand select your machines, make sure they do multiple things. That way, you can have everything you need for your training style in a small footprint, but still have room to train. You don't want to be hitting your shins on machines that are sticking out, and you don't want items just sitting around collecting dust that you don't use. So if you have machines or items or cable attachments that are just extra clutter, get rid of it so that when you come out to your home gym, it feels like an inviting space to train.